All right, well, let's go ahead and get this started. Hey, everybody, welcome to Real Live Talk. Yeah, thanks so much for being here. I'm Duke Lamastre. I'm the host of this thing. This show is really all about just having laid back, Christ centered conversations with leaders in the body of Christ. And really pumped today to be here with my friend Marcus Samie Anderson. Marcus is a worship leader at Now Church. He's also a musician, a songwriter, a really talented singer, and just a creative genius, in my opinion. And just there's so many things that we could get into and talk about as far as Marcus's creativity, graphic design, all these different things. He's also an entrepreneur, husband, father of three. The list goes on and on. But really excited to be here with Marcus. Thanks so much for being here, man. It's good to see you.
Man, Duke, it's so good to see you as well. And thank you for having me on here. Man, you're a talented, creative person by
Oh,
far,
whatever.
especially with this podcast, man. Come
Well,
on.
it's cool, man. Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. But
Yeah.
it's cool that that I could say that I'm a creator and I could kind of put myself in that category with people like you who are actually like really creative.
Man, you and Denise
Even
are
though
some
because I'm a content creator, so
definitely, man. You and Denise are like a power couple, man. Two creative minds. How's Denise? How's
yeah.
the family doing, man?
Oh man, we're so good. We're really really good. Denise is doing great. The kids are good. Yeah, man, it's been a long time since we've seen each other. Elijah's 10, Josiah's 6.
Wow.
How about you, man? How's Bianca? How are the kids?
Man, they're doing good, man. Growing. My daughter just finished kindergarten, my oldest, and then
Come
my
on.
son he just got his gold belt in karate, so he's
Really?
3. And then
He's
my
3?
yeah, he's 3, man. He loves karate, man. Yeah, I don't know where he got it from because I didn't do
Oh, that's awesome.
karate.
That's awesome. Gold is what level?
Well, he's in a little program called Little Samurais, so he still
Sure.
has a white belt, so they have different, like, little colors within the
Stripes or
white belt.
whatever on it, right?
Yeah, yeah, so he's got his gold stripe now.
All
Yeah.
right, all right, good deal. Good for him. Yeah, Elijah, my oldest, he actually does karate,
Oh, wow.
taekwondo. He got into it when he was 7.
Wow.
It's going on pretty close to 3 years, that he's been involved in it. He's a black belt recommended, so he's just one test
That's
away from
awesome.
getting his first degree black belt. So,
That is
um,
awesome.
so it's
Awesome.
cool, man. Yeah, he stuck with it, and he set a goal. A few years back, he wanted to become a black belt, and we don't know if he's gonna stick with it, like forever or
Yeah,
what. But it's definitely a really cool thing. The martial arts. I
yeah.
did taekwondo when I was a kid for like a
Really?
day.
Oh, yeah, that sounds
No,
like
for
me, like
for like a few months, and then I was like, it's
Oh,
2 days a week. I just
yeah.
wasn't feeling it. I really wish I would have stuck with it because I mean the benefits of it are just amazing. The
Definitely.
in terms of discipline, in terms of like psychological stuff, in terms of not to mention the physical stuff, obviously, but
Mhm, mhm.
but
I coulda definitely used that as a younger kid. Like, I my
yeah,
cousin did
man.
it, and he invited me as a guest one time. I was like, "Oh, man, this is cool." I told my mom about it. She was like, "No, can't afford it right now."
Yeah, that's
So,
yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, there's that. Because there's like the base fee, and then I was like, "Okay, well, this isn't so bad,
right.
for what you get out of it." But then it's like all the every time there's a new belt, and every time there's a specialty class, and all these camps, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
equipment, the sparring gear,
Yeah.
he's at one point he lost them, but he had the nunchucks, and he does uses the
Wow.
bow staff, and it's all this stuff. It's like, man, this stuff
Wow.
really adds up.
Yeah, right.
Like, I want that T-shirt, I want that boxing gloves, whatever. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy, but
Oh, yeah.
it's cool, man. I was kind of like a backyard martial artist for a little bit, just kinda
Okay.
doing kicks and stuff like that on my own.
Yeah, I think all of us were, man,
I used
especially
to
with
wear the swishy pants a
Oh,
lot that would make the cool noises.
funny thing about that is back in I'm actually wearing those right now, like those
Yes!
windbreakers, yeah. Oh,
Come on.
yeah.
I love it.
Yes,
I love it,
sir.
man. Well, thank you again. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you.
There's so many things, like for real. We were just chatting a few minutes before we got started here. There's so many, avenues and directions we could go. But I'm just curious, man, because I really don't know much about your like backstory or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I know like you're, looking at you now, and just all the different things that you're involved in, all the different pots that you've got your hands in. You're obviously a really really creative individual, and I'm just wondering, have you always been that way? Like growing up, do you remember just sort of having like that sort of creative wiring where you always trying to either build things or create things, or is this something that happened to you when you got older? Let's
Man,
hear a little bit about the backstory, you
sure,
know?
man. So, growing up early on, man, my dad wasn't like really in my life for a long time, but in the beginning stages, early on from birth to about like 7 years old, he was there, and he was a musician, man. Like that's what he did
Cool.
until he died, man. So he had a studio there that he built in the little room and everything, and then he built me my own little studio space when I
Come
was
on, dad.
4. Yeah,
Yeah,
man, 4 or 5 had like the old little tape recorders and stuff like that, and old mic, and
very
so,
cool.
I recorded like my first song when I was 5 years old, man, and gave it to him, and of course it was horrible in my opinion. It was me trying to rap or whatever, but yeah, from that early age, man, I've always been kind of an inquisitive kid and tried to create stuff with whatever I had around, taking toys, breaking them down, looking inside. My mom would
Yeah.
always be mad at me, like, "You're tearing up all of your toys," like, and I didn't know how to put them back together. I was just like, "Well, I have to see what's
Yeah.
inside of them." So, I guess that's where it came from, man, starting that young.
Yeah, man. Well, it's amazing that some of these things that we do when we're kids, and it's usually looked at by adults as like, this is a bad idea. I don't want you to do that. Like get in trouble for taking things apart.
Yeah.
But man, I hear that from so many people that when they were like that when they were kids, and then it just translates into really creative stuff in their adult years. I think that a lot of
Mhm.
times oh man, I think that our society is so quick to label children that either can't pay attention or can't focus. And we do all these different things with labels and,
Yeah, yeah.
well, you've got this. And so you need to be on this medication and all this kind of stuff. And I
Mhm,
think we're just
mhm.
so quick to do that, where in some cases at least we should be recognizing the fact that, hold on, like maybe this child is just creative in a different way, or
Yeah,
maybe their brain is just wired in a different way. Maybe they're having a hard time focusing because they're bored, because it's just it's not the kind of stuff that they're geared toward, but maybe there's some genius in there that we're just not tapping into.
for sure.
And so yeah.
For sure, man. Like I know just thinking about my early elementary school class. My mom was my fourth and fifth grade teacher at a
Really,
at
me
a
too.
academy, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man, me too. Well, for me it was third and fourth, because we
Okay.
had those combined. Wait, third and fourth? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we had kindergarten, 1st and 2nd were, like, together, basically. 2nd
Mhm.
was in a separate room, but still the same kind of area, and then
Okay.
3rd and 4th were together. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, sorry, go ahead. Didn't
Wow,
mean to interrupt.
that's amazing, man. That we have that in
It's
common.
crazy.
I got in so much trouble because my mom was my teacher, but mostly because I was always drawing and doodling and in between, like, just drawing whenever I could find a piece of paper, just drawing and drawing and
Yeah,
drawing,
man.
and so, yeah, and that was looked at as bad behavior. It's like, "You're not focusing in," but I guess I
Yeah.
was more of was it not kinetic learner? I guess, like, learning by hand and doing or whatever. I don't know if that's the right term, but that was me, man. That was
Yeah, man,
me.
so it goes all the way back to the beginning then. The creative juices were flowing back then, and probably didn't know
Somewhere.
how to harness it all back then, but,
No way. I was all over the place, man. I see it in my kids too, my son and my daughter. I'm just like, and my wife is like, "Come on, they gotta stay focused." And I'm just like, "No, they got some creative things we
Mm,
just gotta focus in on
yeah,
and help them learn, I guess, whatever in a different way. They
yeah,
might not be audible, they might be more visual, or they might be more hands-on." So yeah,
yeah,
man,
man.
but just trying to focus that was really difficult early on, that
Yeah,
creativity.
I can imagine. Were were you able to did you understand how to embrace the creative part of you, or did you find it difficult? Because, like, okay, so here's the thing. Now you're able to do all kinds of different things. You've musically talented, and you do design. We'll get into what you do in terms of your businesses and stuff like that with the apparel company and all the different things that your mind just kind of is able to create. Did you ever struggle with it in terms of, like, I need to figure out what I'm supposed to do and having an issue with like, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of creative people struggle with that, where it's
Mhm.
like, I need to, because society always tells us like, "Oh, you gotta figure out what you need to do." You know, you gotta,
Mhm.
you're going to college, you gotta choose your major, you gotta make sure, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of people around us that are not wired to just be good at one thing. They're wired to be good at a bunch of things. And I remember like even going back to, because my wife is a lot more that way than me, even though like I've had those same kind of struggles because there are a lot of things that I'm passionate about. But
Mhm.
my wife is very much a creative person, and I remember she received a prophetic word from Sister Sylvia Evans during our
Oh,
prophetic
wow.
presbytery in our senior year. And one of the
Yeah.
things that Sylvia said to my wife was uh, she alluded to a previous prophetic word that she had given, and she said, "It's not that you have many gifts; it's that you have the gift of creativity." And then she kinda,
Mm.
like, leaned into
Mm.
that and, and just, gave my wife this word that's really helped her out a lot in terms of her being able to think through things sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
And there are definitely people where it's like, I don't need to focus on just 1 or 2 things because my mind is just geared toward all this creativity. Anyway, I'm just wondering, was that
Mhm.
ever, like, a struggle for you where you felt like you had to fit into a certain kind of mold or box, and then eventually you broke out of it, or were you always kind of able to just kind of flow
Dude,
with it?
I struggle with that to this day.
Yeah.
To this day, man, trying to juggle different things, and I sometimes I ask God, like, man, like, um, why would you give me this idea and then not give me the time to get it in, to get it, make it
Yeah,
happen?
man.
And I just realized, man, it's just like I've just learned to just accept that that's just the way that I am, and not try to eat the whole elephant at one time.
Come on.
Because that's been the main struggle of mine. Has just been realizing, like, life is a journey, and everything that we might have an idea for, there's seasons and times for it,
Mm,
and when the season is just not there, it's okay to just recognize it's just not the season for
mm.
this thing, and realize that, okay, God, okay, Holy Spirit, just reveal to me, what is it that you want me to do in this season,
It's good.
that I can be obedient in. And just when I find myself, getting closer with God, and really seeking Him first on those things, on all those ideas that I might have, you start to kind of see the clear path. This, like, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be focused on right now. And hey, God willing, once I'm obedient to finish A, then I can get to B, and then I can get
Yeah,
to
man.
C. Because I think it's been a study too, and them saying that trying to do a multiple amount of things, like multitasking, is actually not really a good thing for the brain,
Mhm.
and being able to stay focused and harnessing in on one thing at a time is, I think, the best way for us to do things with our day. You could do multiple things in a day, but
Right.
organization is so key, and finding out what distractions are there, what things are like skills, and what things are gifts is another thing that I've been
Yeah,
starting
man.
to focus in on, because what I might have an innate ability to do, might be a little bit different than a skill, which is like, okay, that this helps pay the bills as a skill. A gift could be something that just brings me enjoyment and peace, that I can do to
Wow.
just kind of de-stress. I'm going to paint to de-stress, and I'm not going to look to monetize this. This is just something that helps
Cool.
me just identify this is who I am, rather than the
Yeah, man.
skill of graphics that I might have learned. So I might have said a lot, but that's really helped me
Yeah.
focus in on, just whatever it is that God has me in the season to focus in on and
So
accomplish.
cool. Oh, man, it's so many questions came up. Uh,
So,
but let me go here. So in the with the painting thing specifically, so basically what you're
mhm.
saying is like that's something that you kind of do for you, more so
Man,
like for you because you just love it, you enjoy it, it relaxes you, kinda
yeah.
lets you maybe unwind. Do you find, like do you find regular time in throughout your week, let's say, to do that, or is it tricky? Like,
Dude.
is that something that you just make sure that you do, or is it more sporadic? Like, how does that work?
Dude, like I just was talking to my wife about this yesterday because I had a breakdown. Like I really did
Mm.
have a breakdown because
Alright,
I'm
well
realizing I'm realizing like not like a
no, I
crazy
understand,
breakdown,
I
but I was
understand.
like, what am I doing with my life right now? Because I felt like I was juggling too much. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes I felt like I was doing a little too much, and I just wasn't seeing a lot of the fruit that I wanted to see in the time that I wanted to see it, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
was frustrating me a little bit. It was frustrating me a lot. As you can see,
Okay.
I used to have hair when I was at
You
Elam,
used to
y'all,
have hair.
but it's all gone. But anyway,
I just figured that was intentional.
yeah, genetics, right? But I just talked to my wife about that, and I'm like, my wife was like, "Look, painting was something that was therapeutic for you. It wasn't something that you might have meant to create as a business." And t-shirts was kind of like an outlet that I was like, okay, I can paint on shirts and
Mm,
start to sell them. But when I started having that mindset of like, let me try to sell that and get people to like that, then it started
yeah,
becoming a job for me. And even though people did like it and they gravitated towards some of it, but the stress of trying to, create sales and meet
yeah,
volume and all that stuff and still be an artist and not, lose the authenticity in it, stressed me out.
I
it
got
made
you,
me
man.
it made me lose the love for painting because it
Wow.
just that painting just like is an innate ability that, well, of course I learned to get better at it, but it's just something that I just really loved for me. And I'm finding time to do that again, man, along with kids and being a father and working full time. It's like you got to take a time, even a Sabbath each day, where it's like I'm just going to rest my mind and do something that just allows me to be present. And
Mm,
painting is that thing for me. And yesterday I realized I have to do that again. I
cool.
yearn for it again.
Yeah, man, that's so
Yeah.
good. I think that well, first of all, let me just say I have on my hair still, but like a lot of it is gray, which I don't know if you can hopefully you can't like
I can't
especially you can
tell.
definitely tell over here for
Okay.
sure. So I think that you choose one or the other in life, or I
Yeah,
don't think you don't choose, but someone decides that for you. You either lose your hair or it turns gray.
for sure.
So I mean, we're just two sides of the same coin, basically. But
Yes,
anyway,
sir.
I something that I really learned during the pandemic, not that I've like learned it, but that the Lord was really impressing upon me during the pandemic and that I feel like I experienced growth in for sure over
Mm,
the last year and a half was in this area of like you mentioned taking on too much. And it
mhm,
was in
mhm.
this area of like I think that okay, let me just talk about me. For me, I was definitely wrapping up my identity and my value before God in the things that I was doing for him. And so,
Wow.
without even thinking about that, but realizing that okay, if I got to the end of the day and I didn't have like a whole bunch of things accomplished, I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good
Mm,
about myself. And something that the
wow.
Lord really has been teaching me throughout this past season has been to rest in him and to not do that. And so if I have a day where like I need to relax a little bit more or I have a day where I just can't get a lot of things done because something else came up or because I need to, just whatever. I need to just take this off and be there for my wife or be there with my kids or whatever, then
Mhm.
like not to beat myself up about that. And I feel like what we can do is like, I could be doing a whole bunch of things, but if I'm so focused on what I'm not getting done, then what happens is, like, I'm with my kids, but I'm thinking about my job, and then I'm at my job, and I'm not really putting everything into that because I'm thinking about, the other stuff, and,
Mhm.
so I just I could just, I love what you're saying there in terms of for you, for your mindset, for doing something that's tangible that you love. That's like, let me just take a break from everything else. Where like I don't have to be productive right now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just have to do something that's for me.
Yeah,
And
man.
even in that, I think that stuff like that, like you called it a Sabbath, that time of rest I
Mhm.
think that God has designed us that way to where, first of all, we need rest.
Yeah.
You know, he made us that way. I used to wonder, God, why do we have to sleep? Like, why didn't you just make us where we don't need sleep, where we can just go all the
Right.
time? But I just really think that it's so interwoven into the nature and character of God that he made
Mhm.
us like that intentionally, where it's like, yeah, you know, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. I'm getting into the weeds
No,
now,
this is
but
good.
like,
This is good.
but even in terms of, you know, when you look at the account in Genesis in the first couple chapters with the creation, well, really in Genesis chapter 1, God
Mhm.
created you know, the heavens and the earth and all that, and you go through like what God created on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and at the end of each day it says, and evening and morning were the first day. Evening and morning, not
Mm.
morning and evening. And
Mm.
so I've started to
Mm.
look at life differently where my day doesn't actually even begin when I wake up in the morning. It begins when I go to sleep at night. It begins the night
Wow.
before. And so how I sleep actually will help me to function better throughout my day. And not just in terms of, oh, I got 8 hours or I got 6 hours, or, you know, not just that, but
Yeah.
how I go to sleep. Am I
Wow.
sleeping victoriously? Am I
Mhm.
allowing the Holy Spirit to minister to me even as I sleep? Or am I going to
Mhm.
bed in turmoil and frustration and all this other kind of
Wow.
stuff? So just becoming more intentional about that kind. Sorry, that was a rabbit trail.
No,
But
like
basically, what I'm talking about is just the importance of rest and how
yes.
God loves us that much, where He's not all just like interested in you just being productive and producing and doing
Mhm.
things all of the time, but taking some time where you can just be and you can just kind of reflect. And yeah, you know, I think operating from that place of rest as we go throughout life is so key.
Yeah, and Jesus was like the perfect model of that. Like all that he did in healing and all that
Come on.
in scriptures, you would see him go away to another place to just
Yeah, man.
take time to be alone. And like sometimes I struggle with just being alone for so long. I was like, I need to be around people. I need to have something to do. I need to have
Yeah.
the TV on. I need to have something. And I realized that was just some type of insecurity, some type of weakness in me where it's like, no, God's like, "Look, just be with me. Like be
Yeah.
with yourself and recognize some things and just hear from me. Just fellowship with me." And Jesus, even Jesus did that. Jesus went away into the desert, in the wilderness for a time,
Yep.
away. And what that equipped him to do was to be able to do those miracles and
Yeah.
things that time away. And so, yeah, man, that's just a healthy thing that I'm just learning. And you said a powerful thing earlier in Genesis where each day God did something, but
Hmm.
on a day, he rested.
He rested. Yeah.
And so some people might outwardly looking in at you might be saying, man, Duke is doing a lot of different things, but you have a set time that have appointed yourself to or dedicated yourself to accomplish some goals.
Mm.
And then you have a set time where you recognize, oh, this is the season for rest.
So good.
God gave us the roadmap. And so for us to try to go against that isn't I don't think in his design, man. And
Yeah,
that's
man.
why I lost my hair, man. I was going against the plan.
Well, that's probably why I'm gray, you know?
No
So
way,
it's
no,
just
no.
whatever.
It's all
I tell
good.
everybody it's wisdom, you know?
That's right. I need
But
it.
that's just to make myself feel better, so
For sure.
I would love to go back to one thing that you mentioned, just a few minutes ago where you were
Yeah.
talking about, you know, having different things that you wanna do or that you know, you believe that God is showing you to do, but then kind of, like, being intentional about, "Okay, what do I do now?" You know,
Mhm.
what do I do now? What's that first step? And even, like, seeking the Lord's wisdom on that, because I think that so often we can use what we call wisdom that's like really just an excuse to not do anything. Like we say, oh well, the timing's not right. You got to use wisdom. The finances aren't right. You got to use wisdom, and we can use
Mhm.
that as sort of like this thing that lets us off the hook.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
if we use God's wisdom, He'll show us, okay, what's the step that I can take now
Yeah.
toward this thing? Where like I'm not trying to overload myself and take on everything at once, but in the wisdom of God, we can actually do all these because God's not telling me these things. He's not showing me these things or putting these things on my heart just like for fun. Like
Right.
he's
Right.
doing it for a reason. And so we
Mhm.
can trust him in that process,
Yes,
you know?
sir. Yes, sir, man. That's powerful, man. And just like I just keep hearing in the word of God where it's just like where it's so many places where God would say, or he'll send an angel, a messenger to say, fear not.
Mm,
Because when fear comes, sometimes it blocks so much more like progress in life. It just stops
yeah,
us
yeah,
a lot of times. And sometimes we can confuse fear with like, oh, this just isn't the season, but in
yeah, man.
actuality, it's like, no, we have to step out in faith because, we all feel those leadings of the Holy Spirit to do some things, but fear tries to come in and say, well, you don't have time for this. You don't have the energy. You don't have the money. You don't have the connections. But faith is just like, okay, let me write this vision down that God has given me, write the vision, make it plain, let me just do step A
Yeah,
first. And that takes faith to do step A, to believe that, okay, I'm just gonna, I believe this is God telling me to start a t-shirt business. Okay,
mm,
let's write that down. Okay, God, Holy Spirit, what's the name of it? And you might see it in a TV show, you might see it in a movie, you'd be like, oh wow, okay, this is the name. Okay. All
that's
right,
awesome.
cool. You just never know how God is going to order your steps, but he is ordering and leading our steps. And it takes faith to recognize his voice, and to just run away from fear. But it of course, this life is a journey to recognize, okay, this just isn't the season. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
these
yeah,
doors are not opening. Okay, even though I'm taking steps of faith towards this thing, the
yeah,
doors
man.
aren't opening. But when you take the steps towards the right things, I believe God is like, thank you. Like, okay, let's go to the next level. Let's this
So
door is
good.
opening for you. And I found that out, man. I started designing shirts back in 2009, man, and that's when I really started getting into it. I went back to school for graphic design at Living Arts College, and that's where I really found a love for just like, man, I really want to start an apparel line that actually talks about God in a cool way. Because where I was, a lot of Christian brands at the time just weren't the best quality of material, I will say, and I wanted to wear them all the time, but
Yeah,
I'm a fashion type of guy. I love shoes. My wife will tell you, all my friends know, like I just like specific things. They don't have to be
yeah, man.
pricey. You can find good things at Walmart that looks good. I just wanted
Sure.
Christian apparel items to look the way I wanted them to look, and I just didn't see it at the time. And so I was like, all right, how am I going to do this? Like, this is something that I really want to do. And man, God just like, he connected me with a mentor here who started a clothing line, a really big clothing line called Nyla Elise. I'm not sure if you all ever heard of it, but a lot of big celebrities wear it, and he's a
Mm,
person of faith, man. This guy, man, he's in his
awesome.
40s now. We just happened to bump into each other at a barber shop, man, in 2009, and he gave me my first heat press machine, like
Oh,
$900 heat press machine, man.
yeah,
He
man.
literally gave that to me, and that's how I was just like, okay, God, this is something that you have for me. I believe you're opening the door for me. So just taking each step, man, and then from there, man, it's just that's how it is now, man. That's how I got to the shirts now. And it wasn't a big step. It was just like, okay, this is what you want me to do. T-shirts, let's do it. How do I do it? Lead
So
me to the
cool.
right people. And he did. And it's just faith, been a faith walker journey ever since then.
That's so cool. You know what? On a practical note, I think that there's a lot of people out there who should just start a t-shirt company. Not
Mm,
not a full-on apparel company, but just like a t-shirt company, even if
mhm.
they don't do anything with it, just to learn. Like, okay, let me back up. I don't mean everybody should do that. I just
I'm
mean
with
like
it.
if you're somebody who is interested in getting into business, but you've never done
Mhm,
anything,
mhm.
like um my wife and I, we started a t-shirt company a while back,
Cool,
and we didn't get very far with it. Like we did it for a little while, and then we kind of like we decided to shut it down. We've been talking about it a lot lately. We've been doing some rebranding and stuff, and we're planning on relaunching it in the near future.
cool.
But just like that season where we spent like 6 months. I don't know if it was 6 months. It might have been two. It might have been eight. I don't know, but it
Mhm,
was a period of time where we were really just putting a lot of just energy, and it was just like something that we were really passionate about,
mhm,
and just like from the process of figuring out, okay, how does one start a t-shirt company from scratch? How does one do it with, you know a little budget or with no budget, like how, you know what I mean? And all
Yeah.
these different things and going through the process. And
Yeah.
then like the design process. And I'm telling you, man, like I never really looked at myself as a creative type person. But when I get into something that I'm excited about,
Hmm.
like, I've seen how the creative whatever you wanna call it, just sort of starts to flow and it starts to work, and I was, like, pumping out t-shirt designs, and, like, I had never done that before, and my wife was, like, good at that kinda stuff, and she was putting out some designs that were better than mine, and so it was just I feel like we accomplished so much in such a
Yeah.
short, period of time, and, something that we were doing together and all that, so that's just something, like, as a thing, like, I recommend that to people if they're
I'm
interested in
telling
starting
you.
something out. Just, like, some just random idea and just put it on shirts, even if it's just, like, 5 designs or something like that, and there's all these different ways that you can do it where you don't even have to really invest much of anything to get
Yeah.
it started, but it'll sort of teach you some ideas of, you know, entrepreneurship and business and,
Yeah,
just
man.
how to, like, get something off the ground and how to actually create something, and some people just need something like that, like a win to show
Yeah.
them that they've got it, within them, so
Man, I'm telling you, like, it's just putting your hands to work, man. Like
yeah.
a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the
Little
hands.
closely go yeah.
And then poverty comes, man. And it's just like, but the folding of the hands part stood out to me. It's like, hey, put those hands to work, on something. It'll, you never know, it'll inspire something else, man. And that's exactly what it did for me. Like, I realized I failed so hard at t-shirts. I'm still figuring it out,
Yeah, man.
and it's a beautiful journey. And I realized, okay, I don't need to be a jack of all trades in a t-shirt business. I'm good at designing. I'm good at painting. That's my strength. Find someone that's good at the printing piece or at
Mm,
advertising.
it's
Not
good.
trying to do it all by myself, or find a company that does a direct to garment printing where you can just use that piece. There's avenues to lighten the load, and that God's word says never puts more on you than what you can bear. So when things start to feel heavy, it's like, oh, I did that. I'm trying to do
Yeah,
everything. Let me
right.
take my hands off of the wrong wheels and put them on the
Yeah,
right steering wheel, man. But it's been a beautiful journey. It's taught me a lot, man. Working with people and just getting my creative juices flowing. It sparked songs. It sparked all sorts of different
so cool.
ideas. Yeah.
Well, I remember, several years back, I guess, at least a few years back, being in your house and
Oh
seeing
yeah.
the equipment there,
Oh
you were
god.
doing it you were doing it, in a much more your business was much, we did it the I would call it the simple way, like, we were doing it where it was just sort of like direct to consumer printing or whatever you call that,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
had the machines in, like, your kitchen area, the
Oh
heat
yeah.
presses and, like, the printers and all that kinda stuff. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome. This is like a real production here." Um, and, I really do
Oh,
love what you do, man. Let's
yeah,
just
man.
take a quick pause and tell us a little bit about, the apparel company if you can.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, the name of the company is Fly Above Graphics and Tees. We've been around since 2009 is when I got started. But if you ever interested in checking out our stuff, it's online. I work a lot through Instagram, so if you're on Fly Above World on Instagram, you can find us there. And on online we're flyabove .bigcartel.com. But it's all a faith-based brand, and really it's like the idea of it is like think amazing, live amazing. So just having the mind of
Mm,
Christ, and as a man thinketh, so is he. So it's like, I have a shirt that says fearfully, wonderfully made. When I look in the mirror, I see this. It ministers to me to let me know, okay, I'm a person of value, or a person that might look at it can see, wow, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. It's a nice
mm.
reminder, like just a
Yeah, man.
walking billboard. And that's the idea behind Fly Above Graphics and Tees, is just to, like, in subtle ways, spread the message of Christ, spread the love of Jesus through the clothes, and also have God's word on there. That subtly gets into the mind of people. Even it sparks conversation sometimes. One of our shirts, God is Fly. That was one of our first shirts, and
I remember that.
yeah, so many people ask, like, "What does that mean?" And it sparks a good conversation, a time of like of potential ministry, of
Mm,
sharing testimony, of sharing like God is literally, He's enabled us to overcome every obstacle. And to help you to
yeah,
fly
man.
over your obstacles. And life, not saying life is easy or life is hard, but when you submit your things to God, resist the enemy, He's going to flee from you. And God is just He's relevant. That's just why I created God is fly. So that used to be a slang term for cool or dope or whatever the new terms young people are using. I like to think
Those
I'm still
youngins are
young.
used nowadays. I don't even know.
We used
It's
to
all
be young.
emojis at this point, man. I don't,
All emojis, right? But that was what fly meant. But
very cool.
God is relevant, like He is present. He is now. So
Very cool. I
yeah,
love it. I
man.
love it. Let's plug. Can we plug your wife's business as well?
Oh yeah.
I wanna do that. I don't wanna run out of time and then rush it at the end. So
Thanks,
since we're on the
man.
conversation and I'm thinking about it, let's do that. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your wife's business.
Yeah, yeah, man. My
I
wife's
I don't wanna
business.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead. You
No,
you
go
you
ahead.
tell you can talk about it better than me, so go
No,
for it, please.
man. So yeah, it's called Organic Royals. That's the name of her business. And it just pretty much just goes on that our body is the temple.
Mm,
And a temple, I believe, should be kept in good condition. That's just our idea. Is like, hey, keep
yeah,
your
man.
body as healthy as possible so that God can get the best use out of our bodies. Does that make sense? Like,
Oh,
it's
dude,
so
not wrong.
like if we're living unhealthily, like God can do but so much with a time period. Which
Yeah,
isn't
man.
funny. It's pretty interesting to see. It's like, that food. Well, this would be a whole nother discussion about food. And whatever you eat, bless it. Cover it in prayer. God bless it. But
Whoops.
my granddad, man, he lived to be 107, and he passed away in 2015 when my
Wow.
first daughter was born. And when
Wow.
I asked him, Granddad, what's your secret to how you were able to live this long? And he was like, man, I have a healthy conscience. I know that I treated people right. And that
Hmm,
was his main thing. And he's like, and I purpose to try to eat right. And so he cooked all of his meals. He didn't eat a lot of fast food. But he ate everything from meats to all vegetables, but he just loved to cook his food. He was a chef. And from 100 to 107, my mom started giving him organic foods, organic products. And that, I believe, that was a contributing factor to help him live
yeah.
even an additional 7 years, man. And that really inspired my wife and I to start to try to implement that in whatever way we could, small ways, trying to replace certain things with just an organic option. And that just really helped us. My wife went to study to be a herbalist. She went back to school to
Mm,
study that, and because she just really wanted to just improve her own health and also her family members. Some folks were struggling health wise, and so that encouraged her to get started on that journey, man. And 2015, man, really we got started in creating sea mosses for the family. And see, I don't know if you ever heard of sea moss, Duke, but
I have, but I have questions.
okay.
For
Well,
sure.
yeah, sea moss is just a natural herb that is from the sea, of course. Irish sea moss is the proper term, but it grows just like sea kelp, or other things like that. But it's really similar in that same family. But it has 92 of the 102 vitamins and minerals that our body is made of. So it's
Wow.
like, hey, instead of taking a multivitamin, take something natural
Okay.
and build that immune system up.
Yeah, man. Oh, so how does your okay, where does the sea moss come from?
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously the sea, but I mean, how do you get it?
So my wife, she was able to network with a group in Jamaica. So actually they have it, their wild crafted sea moss there. So she's been able to connect with them to make sure it's organic, that it's non-GMO, and that it's wild
Mm,
crafted, because there's some sea mosses out there, because it's now becoming a trend
I
in
gotcha.
a lot of places. So people are trying to mass produce it, of course, and
Of
make
course.
money off of it.
Dollar
Um,
signs, yeah.
but yeah, but you can easily tell the difference because it's like bleach, and you can smell the bleach on the sea moss. You don't want to put bleach in your body. So
Sure, yeah.
that through trial and error, she found a good connection there. And man, thank God, it's been It's been people have been getting results from it, and they can tell the quality of it, and they've seen the benefits of it in their own health. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man. Okay, so I'm fascinated by this conversation. And
ooh,
yeah, so let's hang out here just a little bit
for
on
sure.
health. I've gotten a lot more health conscious over the past, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years. Definitely like when everybody got on lockdown, I was like, I know this is gonna go one of two ways. I'm either gonna gain 15 pounds because I'm bored and I'm at home all the time,
Right, right.
or I'm gonna use like the little bit of extra free time that I have to like work out more and to, all this kind of stuff and to become more, more health conscious. And so
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say it was like always easy decisions, but I've definitely gotten a lot more, health conscious and been more, active and stuff like that. Um,
Awesome.
but so like I don't know, man. I was looking at photos from me and Denise like from I don't know 7 8 years ago, and I was
Wow.
so freaking skinny. It was like crazy. Um,
Oh,
but,
wow.
like, a few years ago, I went through a season of life where I was, like, under a lot of in my mind, I was under a lot of, like, financial pressure, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I went through a season where I was, like, I was pretty depressed, and
Wow.
during that period of time, I put on a bunch of weight. And, so, and then just kind of, eating as sort of an escape
Mhm.
from, from whatever, from the stress. And then also being more like sedentary than I had been in the past and stuff like that. And so,
Mhm.
I kind of, I picked up some bad habits and stuff during that period of time because my
Mhm.
mind wasn't right. And so from there I've just over the past year and a half or so just like becoming more just conscious of what I'm eating and being active and exercising, and not
Awesome.
just not just that, but like trying to be proactive about healthy stuff too. So I guess what I want to ask you is like
Mhm.
what are some of like the main things that you would recommend for somebody who's just trying to become more healthy? Maybe they've got some bad habits or whatever, but like
Mhm.
yeah, what are just some of like the key things that you would recommend for someone who just like overall wants to develop a healthier lifestyle and some steps that they can start taking um, you know, like right now?
Yeah, man. Like one thing, man, I'm gonna say is, especially during the pandemic, you've had a lot of time to I personally found myself absorbing more than I should emotionally, right? So
Okay.
social media is good. It's a good tool, you know, but sometimes knowing when to cut things off and just
Sure.
have a mental present time. I think that's a good foundational piece to have a Sabbath of the mind, like where it's just like, hey, I'm going to take time and find out what's therapeutic for me, whether it's swimming, whether it's playing a video game is there. You just never know what that thing is.
Yeah.
Starting there, doing a small win to just create like, okay, this feels good to me. This is actually something that's helping me to depress and just block out the world, block out everybody's
Mm.
suggestions and voices and everything.
Yeah, man.
This just helps me center and find myself. And so from there, start like just start getting around a better group of people too. Like it's amazing how
Okay.
some friends in some environments really have an effect on us, like in very unique ways. Even some family, and just being able to recognize, okay, all right, I know that this person might not be the best person for me to pick up the call right now because they're
Yeah,
going to
man.
dump all of their day on me. And it's like, okay, just finding out those pain areas first, those emotional, psychological places first I believe, is a foundational piece to even start. And then from there, it's like, hey, get a little active, walk every day, and get that fresh air in. Like walking is I found that something that's really like my mom does it every day. And I'm like, I need to get on that. Like not
Come on.
just walking to through the mall, but just go out in God's creation and walk like for a period of time. Like walking
Yeah.
it's just a great thing. You're gonna hear my kids. Sorry, they're
Oh, you're
waking
fine, man.
up. But whether you like to walk, if you like to roller skate, if you like to ride your bike, like those things where you're out in God's nature and you're able to breathe in that air is healing for the mind. I found for myself, and
Yeah,
then from there, it's just like you get steps of like, man, it's just things that feel like an alignment of a good thing. It's like, okay, I've started to find out times to de-stress myself. Then I found out to put myself in better environments or just to monitor my friend environment. And then from there, I started to just get more physically active and walking, taking a small win. It's easy to get intimidated by, like, man, you see these fitness guys at the
yeah,
gym
man,
and
for real.
they look jacked up and they're there. But it's like, okay,
I'm
I
at the
might
gym
get
with
there.
my,
The tens, like,
they're doing their, like, 75-pound
yeah.
curls, and I'm sitting there with, like, you know.
And my pastor says this at Now Church, and it's been like kind of like a saying that we have now. Dope, I don't know you heard of what dope is. Dope is, of course, a drug, but as a slang term,
I'm aware,
dope.
Marcus.
I'm just saying, but I don't know who's watching. I don't know the age ranges, but he said, "Be
I know I'm white, but, you
not you.
know,
This
that
is directed towards you, of
okay,
course."
okay, I got you. No, we're
Duke,
good, man.
you know, I know. But my pastor says, be dope on your level. Everybody has their own level, their own walk with God, their own abilities and
Mm,
strengths and weaknesses. And it's okay to embrace those things and to flourish in those things at whatever level of life that God has made us to be at. Because if He's pleased at what it is that we're doing or at what we're eating, and we're at peace, you know what I'm saying? I think God
yeah.
smiles at that rather than us trying to compare ourselves to something that we're just not, like, and
Wow.
that's okay. That is perfectly okay. But just choosing eat, hey, vegetables, and we saw with the three Hebrew boys and Daniel, and how
Uh-huh.
they fasted. Fasting is so good for the body.
Mm,
Fasting and
yeah,
prayer, not even just in seasons of words, like, I'm just take time to fast and pray. That's great, of course, but even just doing that on a weekly basis, whether it's I'm going to fast breakfast or I'm going to fast a certain meal.
yeah,
And,
man.
and that proper term through my wife, she was telling me, is intermittent fasting. That's the scientific term, intermittent
Yeah.
fasting. But it does such great things for the body and just helping the cells to naturally heal. And I believe that's what helped Daniel and the Hebrew boys be the best in their class, to be the
Mm,
best among all of the others, and to stand out before the king.
love
um,
it.
how they took care of their body.
Love it. Yeah, I think particularly in America, like our thinking is that we have this wrong idea that we need food all the time, like we need to be full to be fueled, and it's actually kind of most of the time has an opposite effect. And
Yeah.
how yeah, I've gotten very much into like the intermittent fasting thing.
Oh.
A lot of times, what I'll do, my first meal tip is typically, probably around like 2 o'clock.
Oh,
And
cool,
I just
cool.
have lunch, or sometimes I'll just get busy and I'll go till like even 4 sometimes. I don't do it every single day though. I mean, it's weird though, bro. Like I was just talking about this with somebody. It's like usually there's this one day a week where it's like 10 o'clock in the morning and I just can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Man,
know
it
what it
happened
is.
to me.
Most days I'm fine. And then there's just this one day where I'm just like, I'm not even gonna try to make it today. And so, but I think being okay with that, because like for a little while I put myself on this like regiment where I was like, it's like zero anything, like zero sugar will enter my body, like period. And it was just
Mhm,
like very, very strict on a lot of things.
mhm,
And I think it was fine for like it didn't hurt me. It was good for me, but it wasn't. But yeah, I think like for your own like emotional and mental, state when you're trying to do something, like don't bite off more than you can chew. Like
mhm.
take those small steps. And I love that you said that, those small wins. And I really love the fact that you actually started before you got into the physical stuff. You talked about the mental stuff,
Yeah,
and
man.
like if we're living under tons of stress, that's doing stuff, it's like releasing hormones and doing things like in our bodies that's not good. And we can even probably be counterproductive to an extent with some of the good stuff that we're doing if we're, you know what I mean? So I think like
Yeah.
having that right mindset, and I think that's so key, and I love also that you said not comparing yourself to somebody else. Like, obviously, if you're just starting out, you don't need to compare yourself to the person who's been, working out like a madman for,
Yeah.
for 5 years, 10, their whole life. You
Yeah.
don't need to do that. Like, you don't need to do that because you're probably gonna end up hurting yourself. You're gonna
Yeah.
like do more than you're supposed to do and like pull something and then you can't, do anything for 2 weeks and you get
Yeah.
fatter. It's
And
just like
you never know what's motivating a person to do that. Like, they could be like, "Man,
true,
I got picked on all my life. I'll never get
true.
picked on again." And it could be a place of insecurity. You just never know. So just, hey, staying on being dope on your level, staying focused
Love
on
it.
what it is that your goals are, and just getting those small wins does so much subconsciously, like, and psychologically for us, I believe.
Yeah, man. What do you say too for because I know we very briefly mentioned this, but I think before the podcast started, just like this whole past year with the pandemic and all of that. Like, what do you recommend, or I don't know,
Mhm.
or you could even just tell me what you do if that's easier for you.
Yeah,
In terms of like just like your immune system and just overall health, maybe boosting your immune system and all of that,
absolutely,
letting
man.
your body fight its own battles.
And transparent moment, like, my wife and I and our 3 kids caught COVID. Like, we
Hmm.
caught COVID, and it hit us pretty hard,
Oh yeah.
for, like, 'cause I sing, and so I was singing at a church, and just one of the people didn't know they had it, man, and they were singing, and just like that, the whole team, caught it. It was horrible, man.
Yeah.
Well, not the whole team, but a lot of folks did get sick,
Wow.
unfortunately, which isn't funny because I mean, but I just laugh at it now. It's like, wow, thank you, God, I
Yeah,
made it
man.
through. It's not a light issue, but to say like what we do just to keep our immune system as strong as possible is like, first off, in the mornings, man, I personally take sea moss in the morning, a
Uh-huh.
spoon in the morning and a spoon at night. I mean, I take zinc, and
Mhm.
I try to juice. Like, my mom got me into juicing. She bought us a juicer, and so just the vitamins and minerals you get just from fruit and raw vegetables, and juicing that down and getting that into the body as quickly as possible. It has really benefited us. It helped us to kick COVID a lot faster than a
Mm.
lot of folks.
Wow.
I can say, and thanks be unto God, we made it through. But and it just doing that every day for us, and we have days where we just don't eat meat. I love meat to this day. Okay. But we try to limit our meat intake
Mm.
to three. That's just us, and that's worked for us. It's about 3 days a week we'll eat
Yeah.
meat. And sweets, we try to eat it once a week, but that's what's worked for us, and
Love
it,
it.
it has really helped us. It's kept our energy levels up, and I believe it was a contributing factor that helped us make it through COVID, the way that we did.
Yeah, man. So good. Do you do any vitamin D
Oh man.
supplements or do
Oh my
you
gosh. Yes, yes,
we're
yes,
supposed to get
yes.
it from the sun, but most of us don't spend enough time in
That's
the sun to get it properly.
Man, you have hit the nail on the head. And a lot of African American people
Yeah.
suffer with vitamin D
Yeah.
deficiency, because yeah, for that reason, and with melanin and all whatever those, it's just it. We need more time out into the sun to
Yeah,
get the
exactly.
benefits of it.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Well, and
man.
and there was even and I don't know for sure if it's directly correlated or not, but I mean, there was definitely proportionately, I think that the African American community was affected more, right, by
Mhm.
COVID than white Caucasian people,
Yeah, yeah,
proportionately. I can't think of like the word that I'm actually looking for, but you get what I'm saying? So I don't know
absolutely,
if that was a factor or
man.
not, but I mean, I know that vitamin D is supposedly like a big factor, when it
Mhm.
comes to immune health and particularly with this particular virus that it seemed like it was and obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. So
No, man, you
but
do, like,
but
you
you know what I
do.
mean?
Like, that's what yeah, I can't believe I forgot about vitamin D. Yes, we take vitamin D every morning. Our kids take drops, and yeah, man, like, I have lost members, like friends or whatever to COVID,
Mm.
man, and it's
Well,
been
sorry, man.
tough, man. But it's just like you constantly see a lot of um, diseases that they had dealt with beforehand, whether it's diabetes or whatever, those
Yeah.
pre-existing conditions that were already there, that tend to have a higher percentage of African Americans or whatever race, that's affected by those things. And then here comes on top of that COVID. It just was like
Yeah.
a horrible equation. So it was just finding a way to supplement and to okay, let's like limit some things that might decrease the body's ability to fight, and take in and increase those things that builds that immune system, man. Vitamin D, zinc, vegetables, fruits for everybody, and walking, man, and fresh air. I mean, man, that I think that our body just God made our body
Yeah.
well strong enough and
Yeah.
gave it a system to help fight, outside things.
Yeah, man. So good. The word I was looking for was disproportionate. Disproportionate, not proportionate. I knew I was saying it wrong, but
Disproportionate.
anyway.
I
But
had my mind. I didn't have it either, dude. It was gone.
but yeah. But I really appreciate you, man. I know
Appreciate you,
we're
man.
kind of running out of time here, but I do really do appreciate you, appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing all these things. I don't know, that wasn't where I expected this conversation to go
Man, we're gonna have to have a part
necessarily,
two or something,
but I
man.
loved it. Yeah, for real, man. We definitely do. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
definitely have you back on. We didn't even get to talk about like worship. I wanted to
Oh,
get into some of that and some of like
oh.
the music and stuff, but I
That
would like to ask you before we go, could you point us, point some people to where they could go, or like just how they could find you if they want to check out like some of your original music?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're on all digital music outlets,
Okay.
Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play. But you can find me under Marcus Samie, Samie. That's my middle name, Marcus Samie. And
I'll put it up on the screen here for those that are watching, but
yeah,
if you're
man,
listening, sorry.
no worries. And yeah, if you ever want to check out like worship, like more like live worship stuff, our church does live stream. A lot of churches, of course, are live stream. So if you be faithful
Sure.
at your church, be faithful at wherever church you attend, folks. But if you ever want to be a part of the worship experience, we're at nowchurchnc.com, is where
Okay.
you can just find some of the. But yeah, man, we love worship. Love.
Very cool.
I miss Elam. Elam taught me how to do that thing, man. I could talk about Elam.
Love it, man.
I love Elam.
Yeah, you gotta come back soon. You gotta come back soon. We'll do a part two and we'll talk about all that kind of stuff too.
For
But
sure, for sure.
you said the church was nc.com?
Nowchurchnc.com.
Oh,
And
nowchurchnc.com. Oh,
yeah,
I was thinking the NC stood for Now Church, but I'm guessing the
nice.
NC is North Carolina.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's like a
I
Now
was like,
Church Florida.
nc.com, that's so dope. Like that's like the
That would be the
that's
greatest
like
name.
that's the shortest website ever. I love that. Never forget
For
that.
sure.
So nowchurchnc.com.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Let me just say, I love your voice. I love the way you worship. I love how positive you are, and just your whole demeanor. I think just points people to the love of Christ, and I just think that I just think that that's awesome, man. So I love what you're doing, and I've just really enjoyed the opportunity to chat with you today, man. So thank you again. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
man.
time.
Love you
Appreciate
back.
you.
Love you back. Love you and the
Yeah.
family, man. We love you guys. And thank you for
Thank you,
having
man.
me here, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah, give my love to Bianca and your family, please.
Will
And
do.
yeah, man, we'll do it again. All right.
Sounds good, dude.
All right.
All
Appreciate you,
right.
brother. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to check this out. Really appreciate you all. This episode, as along with all past episodes, this episode will be uploaded later today. And you can also find all past episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere where you can get podcasts. And yep, so it's called Real Life Talk. Check it out. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Have an awesome day.